ball stuff when I know we could be doing family stuff. So I'm going to keep it a little brief. This page that I have on the screen right now, it's going to show data from the first 2 weeks combined, and I want to talk through some of it. But I think it's best, usually we start these off by looking at last week's matchups and talking through some of the individual results. So I played JW. I ended up beating him 14-2-1, decisive blow, putting JW in last place in VTL and in the real standings, and sort of switching my fates. I got beaten week one by Nate, even though I didn't do that badly. Nate had a really good week, and this time I had a really good week. Pretty much across the board, my numbers held up pretty strong once you look at VTL. So a resounding week 2 win for me over JW. Frank beat Brad pretty handedly as well. I haven't really looked at the actual numbers for any of these matchups, so I'm not coming into the video really with much context. So I'll look kind of with you, and we'll see what we find. But it looks like Frank basically got the better of the volume numbers for offense, despite 50 less at bats. That's weird. So Brad, despite better ratios in average slugging and strikeout rate, and way more at bats, ended up not having as many runs or RBIs or walks or stolen bases or anything. That's crazy. So pitching wise, Brad's pitching looks rough. Wow, 5.74 ERA, and Frank's looks solid. Nothing phenomenal even, but like pretty good enough for an 11-5-1 win. French and Alex squared off, and Alex got an 11-6 win. So French's big strength is his offense. So when I look down here at the pitching, I see a lot of green for Alex. Not a huge surprise, I will say. It looks like he won pretty handedly in most of the pitching categories, despite no saves. Offensively, French has got to do a lot of his heavy lifting here, I think. That's the way he's built his team for now, anyway. And they went 50-50, basically. You tip your cap to French a little bit if you count the errors exclusively as an offensive outcome. So I'm seeing a middling performance on offense. A couple of the counting numbers are pretty good for French, but the ratio is not. He won strikeouts though, amazing. Anyway, pretty good win for Alex, and the pitching looked pretty strong. The offense didn't necessarily look awesome, but it was good enough, Next was Nate the Seller, 11-6 win over Maffey. The offense was pretty good for Maffey. 45 runs, 11 homers, 46 RBIs. Those must have all been leading or at the top, including 266 average, 453 slugging. Pretty good week. I mean, when you get no walks, limited steals, commit several errors, and strike out a lot, and you only come away 5-4 in offense after putting up some pretty gaudy numbers, disappointing. And then pitching-wise, it just looks like Maffey just did not have it. Nate has a good pitching staff, so you can't really afford a bad quality week, and these numbers are rough pretty much across the board. So Nate really just swept up with pitching, mopped up with pitching, I guess is what I meant to say, and hit a few of these. Like, his offense kind of countered what Maffey did well just perfectly, it looks like to me. Next, we have Bo and Jeremiah. Jeremiah's offense did pretty well. I mean, 381 slugging looks a little bit low almost, considering like these other numbers look pretty dang good. 39 walks and 13 steals especially, I think, looks pretty good. 45 runs, 46 RBI. I assume Jeremiah had one of the better offensive weeks, and he got almost everything against Bo, except for strikeouts and errors. And then Bo, pretty nice pitching week, 2.67 ERA, 3 walks per 9, a great batting average against, pretty good amount of quality appearances, good K per 9. Yeah, Bo's pitching did quite well. Wasn't good enough to get him the outright win, but a close draw between a team that was really sharp on offense and just okay on pitching, and a team that was sharp on pitching and like kind of just okay on offense. These numbers don't look bad either per se, I don't think. So kind of just an even matchup right there. Corey going 10-6-1 against week one darling Duran. The pitching from Duran in week one was insane. Not so insane this week, but still good. So he won 1, 2, 3, 4, and split saves. So he goes, 4, 3, and 1 in pitching. Corey's pitching wasn't particularly good. Got a lot of holds, a really good home run per nine number. But really, the damage was done on offense, and I believe we'll see shortly that Corey's offense is the number one offense by VTL so far. So, not surprising, I guess, when you know that. It was a big offensive week. Didn't strike out really at all. Hit for a big average. Pretty good slugging. I'm having to readjust. Like, what does it mean to have a good average and a good slugging? 14-team league. We've spread things out a little bit more. Plus, it's very cold. Hard to know really with what we're seeing if it's going to be normal or whether things will kind of shake out a little bit as we go. When things get warmer, obviously offense heats up a little bit. So anyway, good offensive week for Corey. Duran couldn't really hang with him, though I will say some of these numbers from Duran, like 13 home runs, I think actually was a pretty good result. So anyway, Duran's just going to try to stick close to the middle if he can. That'll be the goal. So it's not a heartbreaking loss or anything after that week one surprise. I would say things are going well for Duran, sitting in the middle of the pack after 2 weeks. Last on the list is the Ohtani Shogunate, Casey, taking on Glenn and the Texas Leaguer Drifters. Casey gets the win, 9-6-2. I'm looking at the numbers. I don't think I'm seeing really any numbers from either side that are popping out as like big time, except maybe the 42 walks. I believe that's got to be near the top or at the top. So kind of a middle of the road matchup when you look at the numbers. A 3.10 ERA is very good. I mean, I shouldn't act like that's not, but a 6.85 K per nine. It's honestly amazing to have such a low ERA and home runs. Like, how is your home run per nine so low if you're not missing any bats? That's pretty cool. I don't know if that's like a Logan Webb special. Yeah, so I guess Casey just beat Glenn. No numbers really popping other than maybe that Glenn's offense looks particularly in a bad place. But he drafted his keepers mostly for upside prospects and pitching, so that's to be expected. I don't think anyone was planning on Glenn's offense to be right up near the top. So let's look now at the VTL numbers. Again, this page, I have not yet finished the commissioner's report page. I'm sorry for that. So I'm going to try to get there this week, but it's just been harder to get into it this year because of just a few random things that have happened here and there. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up the stream here just in case like one of you did tune in. Probably not, but I didn't announce it or post it. But if one of y'all is in there, I'll try to look at the comments or whatever, but I still don't really know how to do that. Oh well, sorry. If you're giving me comments right now, I will see them soon, but I don't know how to look in the moment because I'm a noob. But I'm trying for like one more second before I give up. I know how to access like... Okay, I found it, and no one's in here. That's good, because I wasn't looking. All right, well, let's look at the numbers, and then I'll probably call it here pretty soon. So in terms of the... You know what, let's go ahead. How much of this did I set up? Not really much. Well, here's what the commissioner's update page, will look like once I've actually taken some time to refine it. So we've got Frank, Alex, Corey sitting at 1, 2, 3 in the rankings. They're neck and neck, basically a half game apart. Nate is a full game back of Corey. I'm neck and neck with Nate. Casey sits above the playoff cut line. Duran is the 7th place team as of today. And then we have Bo, Brad, French, Jeremiah, Glenn, Maffey, and JW. That is in descending order of the current Fantrax standings, nothing to do with VTL. I like this view because, in fact, like these numbers, I'm not sure where it's getting these because that's obviously not correct because we are sorted right now by the Fantrax win percentage. I think what that's doing is showing, yeah, that is showing specific to week 2 because I had started to prep this document maybe like a little bit, differently. So yeah, this stuff's just for week 2. So sorry, let's get out of that. So we're just gonna have to you're gonna have to find yourself, right, and do this kind of analysis across. So if you want to look at number 1, the best actual win percentage in the league is Frank. He has the second best VTL, number 2 with hitting, number 6 with pitching. The second place team in the league by Fantrax standings. Alex has the 8th ranked VTL, so quite a disparity there. Something that you would not expect to hold true on a long term thing. But for the early goings, Alex, it looks like he might have had a little bit of luck in his opponent matchups because his VTL hasn't been particularly high. His hitting in particular has been 11th of 14, and his pitching has been equally dominant, so 3rd of 14. We just saw that in his matchup this week. Also tied for second in the actual win percentage is Corey, who has the number 1 VTL in the league. So congrats. I think that's the first time you would have led the league in VTL any given point in the season. The hitting is what's really propelled him to first. Pitching is 6th, but it is 7:46. There's been 3 big-time trades made. I think all 3 were today. And Corey's team has been positioned now to really take a strong angle towards that buy. It just depends for these other buyers at what point they decide to get in the mix. But I think if we look at the transactions, let's just look at the 3 trades that have come through today. So first, there was the trade with French, where sorry, I always mix up the name with all the C's in here. Corey sent away Brent Rooker and a 3rd and an 8th to acquire Chase DeLauder and Mickey Moniak. For those unfamiliar with Mickey Moniak, I think he was a first overall pick. He's having a hell of a year, and they haven't even played that many games at Coors. Center field eligible, right field eligible. He had a good year last year as well with an 824 OPS, but I think you can see too, like historically, hasn't been a stalwart. Didn't quite work out in his first stop, wherever that was. Also, Chase DeLauder, incredible debut, home run after home run after home run to get things started. Cooled off maybe a little bit in between, but he is still slugging a mighty 680 with a 1,059 OPS. He is a bona fide rookie. This is his first major league service time. And so I think Corey is banking on him becoming the star of the package, I would assume, right? And must be also concerned about Brent Rooker, who has really struggled with to the tune of a 538 OPS so far in the early going. He traded with me next. We basically swapped Kyle Bradish and Shota Imanaga, and then I gave a 4-save closer in Jordan Romano and Taj Bradley, who's off to an extremely hot start. 125 ERA with 29 Ks over 21 and 2/3 innings. He has shown such flashes of brilliance in the past. It's really tantalizing. So I think Corey's hoping that this is sustainable, and that obviously Shota we know what he is. He's rock solid, off to a pretty good start. And Bradish also struggling mightily to start the year. So did I even say what picks? In the French trade, Corey gives up his 3rd and his 8th and the struggling Rooker to secure a couple other younger outfielders. In our trade, he sent over a 2nd, 5th, and 7th, and Kyle Bradish, and kind of some filler guys to secure Imanaga and Bradley. So not afraid to spend the draft capital to kind of go after guys that he feels like will help him right now, which I definitely can respect. It's bold, and I don't frankly think we've seen such full buying ever done so early in a season. So it's going to be fascinating to see, does this mean he now stays ahead of the pack by a considerable margin for like a month or 2? And if so, it's hard not to think he's going to be up near the top of the standings because his team definitely improved. There's no question it improved. It's just a matter of will any of those individual transactions look like bad value maybe when there's trade deadline, and maybe there's a lot of sellers who aren't expecting to sell just at this point in the season, but maybe they come to the trade deadline and they're ready to sell, and maybe they'll give up their stuff for less. I don't know. And the third trade that just came through right before I started the video, a first, a fourth, and a sixth from Corey to Duran, one of our two expansion teams. And in the process, he acquires Michael Waka, who is off to a hell of a start. I mean, amazing. 21 innings. He's given up one earned run. And also Kevin Gossman, who's also off to a phenomenal start. Not quite as good as Waka's, but maybe a shade more like believable that it could maintain at a really high, maybe even Cy Young kind of level. And he also got Joan Duran, one of the best closers in the game, already up to 5 saves on 7 appearances in the young season with phenomenal ratios. So definitely his pitching just got a lot better in these trades. He gave up Tyler Mahle, Cole Sands, Chris Bassett, Nick Martinez, Taylor Rogers, Kyle Bradish, Brent Rooker, and Jeff McNeil. So the net is certainly positive for Corey. I wonder what the value will look like at the end of the year when we're comparing it against other trades that are made at the deadline where there might be rather some like discounts that occur, but that could go either way. It could be that players become more expensive, and he is getting the benefit of having like a season's worth of value instead of just getting them at the deadline. So if he's pushing for a buy, I can see the logic. It's just always so fun to look back later and be like, were these trades worth it? Should I have waited? So this will be a great case study, which excites me to see kind of how it plays out, since this is not a common thing. And it's cool in that I've been thinking to myself, like, well, which of these teams are saying they're going for it, but may actually stop before it's all said and done, and it's time to really like pay up or go home. Some teams are not going to go for it that think they're going to go for it right now. Someone will sell that is not expecting to sell. That's just the reality of competition. And so I'm curious how it'll play out at the deadline with this kind of a strategy. Let's go back real quick and look, and then I'll probably need to call it. So here again is our combined VTL numbers through 2 weeks. Cutting off Glenn at the bottom there. Here we go. So that was Corey. Let's look for Nate. Number 4 in the standings, number 4 in VTL. The hitting has not been good, but the pitching's been exceptional, especially against me. It was really good. I am 5th, 3rd in VTL, so maybe like a little bit unlucky in my matchup. With first week was Nate, was the best VTL in the week that week. 4th in hitting, 4th in pitching. So I like that, coming from a pretty good base. I lost a little bit of pitching today. 6th is Casey, who is 6th in total VTL, 3rd in hitting, 8th in pitching. So that is what it is. Duran, 7th in actual, 5th in VTL, 11th in hitting, no surprise. Number 1 in pitching. I mean, I want to say that's surprising, but like the amount of talent in his staff was immense. He did just lose some too. 8 is Bo with 7th in VTL, 8th in hitting, 4th in pitching. The pitching has been definitely pretty good. 9th is Brad, who's 9th in VTL, right where he should be, quote unquote, 5th in hitting, 10th in pitching. So when you say 5 and 10, that almost makes you feel like maybe you should be finishing better than 9, but not that far off. French is in 10th. He's 6th in hitting, 12th in pitching. Jeremiah is in 12th in VTL, 11th in the standings, 7th in hitting, 13th in pitching. Glenn is the 12th ranked team in the standings, but the worst of the VTL measurement there. 13th in hitting, 14th in pitching so far. So obviously Glenn not expecting to push for contention here, so not a shock, Maffey, 13th in the standings, 11th in VTL, 9th and 11th respectively, hitting and pitching. That's not the start I expect Maffey was looking for. And JW, 14th in actual win percentage, so in last with the 13th VTL, the worst hitting team and the 9th pitching team. He kept almost exclusively offense, so I know that's disappointing for him. And to be 9th in pitching, he probably could have believed that, but to be 14th in hitting, I know that is quite hard to take probably if you're JW. Each of the numbers are here as well if you want to look. The luck percentage is the reflection of your actual percentage minus your VTL equals your luck. Or rather it is your VTL minus your actual. So if you were negative 8%, that means that you are lucky. Sorry, I'm confusing myself with my own. This might not be right. I wouldn't even reference the luck cell yet. I'm still cleaning a few things up. Sorry. But definitely I'll have a commissioner's report available for week 3 so that I can show you kind of that old view that you're used to. And at that time, I will go through a few of the comments from AI so that you can feel like you have a narrative about your team a little bit, kind of like we used to in the past, right? This is all junk. I have not done any power rankings for this season. So again, this stuff's coming. I'm gonna hopefully make a this page. I want to be able to show like year over year all of these basic stats sitting like one under another, kind of representing what the old league homepage used to be, but it didn't ever really turn into a document that I felt like was usable or that people wanted to see. But I'd like to do that. I have a few other ideas, but frankly, I really got to focus on that commissioner's report first. So that's going to be it for me. Sorry, I didn't ask for anyone to jump on here with me next week. And in terms of looking at the individual numbers, I will try next week to spend some time doing a little bit of a dive into weeks 1 and 2 and 3. I may even be able to do another video later this week where I do some of that, but that's kind of all I've got for today. So